I want to ask you, what can be done if somebody is being abusive to you online? Is there actually any protection for people?
Well, the answer is yes. If you can prove that someone has been abusive to you online, then there are a whole raft of criminal offences that could be investigated and the person could be prosecuted. But the real problem, of course, is that in the great majority of social media cases of this kind, the user can't be traced and there's no way to obtain evidence as to who's operating the account. And without evidence, you can't prosecute anyone for anything.
Is there any way of getting these social media companies to expose these people?
No, there isn't. And this is where I'm afraid, listening to Priti Patel, I was just shaking my head and saying, well, this all sounds wonderful, but the problem is none of it's possible because the social media giants are almost entirely foreign owned, mostly in the US or China and the Far East. And under no circumstances will they release user data to the British government or British authorities. So what Priti Patel is really suggesting is that the only way you can actually control anonymity on social media is to shut down access to Facebook, Twitter, and all of the social media platforms, because that's the only way you're going to stop it. And that's what they do in China. They try and control what people can hear on social media and listen to. And that's really, in the end, where Priti Patel's policy would end up.
This is just so disheartening in a sense, because this means that it is a licence for people to just say what they like and then hide.
Well, anonymity can be of value. I mean, I don't know if you know one of my colleagues, the secret barrister, who's used, as the name suggests, a secret Twitter and social media presence to put forward all manner of important points around how our legal system is failing from the inside, which he or she would not have been able to do if they didn't have the benefit of anonymity. So once you say that the government can decide that they want to know everybody that's using social media all the time, I'm afraid that A, that's not going to happen. It's not realistic technically. But B, just think about it. That's incredibly worrying, isn't it?
What, that people have to show their identity to use a social media platform? We do it with most things anyway. Why would that be a worry?
Well, it'd be a worry because, firstly, as I say, technologically it's impossible. So let's set aside the fact that there is no possible way in which the British authorities can regulate the internet to stop people in the UK opening anonymous social media accounts. That is technologically impossible. I challenge Priti Patel to find a single legal or technical internet expert who will say that what she's suggesting is even remotely possible. So let's set aside the fact that it's la-la land to start with, and let's look at the issue of why anonymity might not be a bad thing. Because sometimes you have whistleblowers in the NHS, in public authorities, and all sorts of other environments. And those people need to be anonymous. They can't possibly have to reveal their identity to the government if they're whistleblowing against the government. So once again, the idea of anonymity is technically impossible, and actually it's quite abominable when you think about the fact that anonymity is so important for so many people to get their message across in a way they otherwise couldn't.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It is important for so many people to get a message across in a way that they couldn't, because a lot of them are sending nasty messages. And I think for all the very good whistleblowers that you're talking about, there seems to be a whole raft of people who want to talk a load of nonsense to people and insult people and be abusive online. Is there not something that can be done? Because from what you said, OK, if we divide the people who are saying bad things and the people who are saying good things and allow the people who are doing good to remain anonymous, is there, seriously, from what you said, is there no way of finding a way of exposing people or forcing those social media giants to expose who's using their platforms in a case of, say, murder or something like this?
No, there isn't as far as overseas corporations are concerned. There are obviously laws that apply to British corporations, but when you're talking about Facebook and Apple and Twitter and all of these American corporations, they're governed principally by American law, not by our law. So the answer is no. You cannot force these organisations, which are based overseas, to provide their user data. And they will always refuse to do so, and the British government has absolutely no power to do anything about it. For me, this is not about anonymity online. It's not about that. Anonymity is a well-established thing that people need for good and can use for bad. It's not about that. It's about whether or not people have committed criminal offences that can be proved. And if you can prove that an individual is inciting violence or threatening murder, that person, if they're in the UK jurisdiction, can be arrested, prosecuted and sent to prison.
Well, Daw QC, thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.